Clifford, our York MP, who would like to give a first speech with regard to Clifford Tower Visitor Centre. So if I can pass you on, give a warm round of applause for Rachel Massey.
Thank you, Tony, and can I just say thanks so much for coming out in this abysmal weather. It just shows how passionate people feel about our heritage. And once we lose it, it's gone. So it's so important that we fight for our past to be parts of our future. The reality is that there are choices in this, there are solutions in this, simple solutions. We've got an ugly car park sitting there, which we could put a visitor centre on. Instead of spoiling this wonderful site which so many people come to see, a visitor centre would just cut into the hill and cut into that beautiful site we have here, and we don't want it. Historic England put forward some really exciting proposals when they came forward about developing the inside of the tower, make it more accessible, and that's great. But when it comes to the outside, this masterpiece that was put here centuries ago, we just don't want to lose that for our city. So what you're doing is right today, and I believe when over 3,000 people speak, that their voices must be heard. And that's why I've written to both the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sports and the Secretary of State for Local Government to say we need people to think again. That's what grown-up politics is about. It's not saying everything's black and white, it's saying what is best and what is best for our city, and who knows what is best for our city than the people that live here. So I've said you have spoken and you will be heard. I've written to Historic England as well, and they're going to meet me next week. So I'm going to listen to what everyone is saying today, because I'm going to take your voice forward to them also, to make sure that we get what we want for our city, what's best for our city, what's best for tourism, for our future, but also to preserve our amazing past as well. So thanks ever so much for your support. Keep on fighting, because I believe when people join together and speak, that things can change. And that's why I'm standing with you today in this wonderful weather and everything else, to make sure that we raise your voice even louder, and that ultimately we get what's right for York. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rose. Now, with this, I confess that you wouldn't have guessed that this is a fairly impromptu event, and I'm not conscious of people other than Rachel and possibly myself who would like to speak, but I would like to invite people from the floor if they would like to come forward and say something, if anybody would like to do that. Based upon the blank faces that I got there, I will carry on with my list. Linda, thank you very much. A round of applause for Linda.
Morning everybody. True British spirit going on here. I mean, this edifice has stood here for 1,000 years in this simple form as a defence system. Why lose the impact of that? It survived wars, it survived referenda, it survived elections. Let's keep it like this. Personally, I think York needs another cafe and a toilet block like a hole in the head. You know, there are facilities nearby. There's a visitor centre at the museum over there. Why waste the money doing this and spoiling this iconic image that Lowry painted and probably turn his grave if he saw this? So for me, keep the simplicity of it, improve the access, improve the viewing upstairs, but just leave well alone. It's not broke, don't fix it.
Thank you very much. Well said. I've got two people who would like to speak. Could I start with James Flinders, Councillor James Flinders, who is one of the ward councillors for Guildhall, who would like to speak. Thank you very much. Round of applause, please.
I'll start by saying how fantastic it is to see so many people here who care about this important monument at the heart of our city. So on the 21st of January, English Heritage hosted a consultation event with local residents. And it was billed as a consultation event, but actually it was a presentation of an option that was already decided upon. I'll try and shout louder. When English Heritage presented options to the public, what they should have done is listen to the response that the public gave them, which was, whilst we strongly support the changes to the tower, and whilst we strongly support improving this important visitor attraction, telling the very difficult story of our city, What we need to do is make sure that it's done in accordance with the surrounding area, which hasn't been. What English Heritage need to do to listen to the views of local residents. People are not NIMBYs. What they want is a visitor attraction that fits in with the surrounding area. That's something that I've supported, something Rachel supported, something residents from across the city have supported. We really strongly want to improve this attraction, but we need to do it in the right way. So I call on both English Heritage and Historic England, who are funding this, to give more time so that the planning application can be amended to fit in with the surrounding area. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw a gentleman over here that would like to say a few words. Again, and his dog. A round of applause to gentleman and his dog.
The dog doesn't like it either. I live 100 yards from here, and I would just like to ask why one of our other local councillors, Janet Looker, isn't here. She was a person who actually supported the application, and it's time that our councillors started listening more closely to the needs of the residents in Guildhall.
Yes. Here.
Thank you. Are there any more people that would like to come forward and just say a few words? We got somebody over here. Thank you very much. I think it's Rory. Thank you. Round of applause for Rory.
With a bit of people power, we can stop this planning application again, have this amended and rethought through. And one of the things that I would like to see rethought through is that abhorrent car park, which spoils the whole outlook to Clifford's Tower, and it should be linked to campaigns for clean air for York and keep the bloody traffic out. Clifford's Tower is iconic to York, and we need to protect it and protect the vista of it from all angles. And fighting your way through puddles and a bloody car park to what they propose to be a toilet block at the front of it is not acceptable. So people power should win the day. Stay firm, ask your questions, be awkward, and let's see this thing turned around.
Are there any more people who would like to speak from the floor? Yes, I've got a gentleman here. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to salute the three councillors who voted against this proposal in the planning committee meeting on the 27th of which month? October. And at least one of them is here today, and I'd like to thank also Councillor Brian Watson and Councillor Johnny Hayes, who is definitely here today, for lending their support as spokesman at the meeting. Now, picking up a point that Councillor Finders made, there was a public consultation on the 21st of January this year. Now, where was it? Does anyone remember where it was? Early Music Centre. But if you were serious about a public consultation concerning Clifford's Tower, where would you put it? Clifford's Tower. Clifford's Tower, or as near as damn it. And they put it at the Early Music Centre, which is an out-of-the-way part of York. You'd only know about it if you're in the habit of going to concerts there. More than that, it was held on one day only, a Thursday, not a weekend, from 11 in the morning until 8 at night. So you'd only have a chance. If you were a normal working person in an office, tied to an office, you could only comment if you went between, say, 6 and 8 on that one particular day in January. I do feel, I was at the planning committee meeting, I do feel that it was a done deal. And I think we should be told more than we were told on the day. For example, why did the Chief Planning Officer, or whatever she's called, Rachel Tyers, write a report recommending this approval so wholeheartedly? Why did the Conservation Architect Janine Riley, who just the week before had received the Lord Mayor's Award for Conservation, why did she, in her report, recommend it so wholeheartedly? They must know things that we were not told, and I think we need to know from Councillor Reid exactly what is behind this. I also, to pick up another point that's just been made, Councillor Looker was there. Not only did she vote for the scheme, she was one of several councillors who used the words let's get on with it. Now I tell you, I ask you, is this incautious approach the way to judge a planning application in such a sensitive area as this? I rest my case.
Thank you very much. I'm quite happy to. Brian Watson, Honourable Brian Watson, who spoke at the planning meeting against the proposed build. Could you give a round of applause to Brian?
Thank you, John. It's not Henry. It's Henry Alderman that he's talking about. But just having cleared that little point up, I used to be the Guildhall Ward Councillor, and to be quite honest, I fought long and hard for the centre. Becoming too much of a bars and restaurant area. Everything that visitors come for to York is in this Guildhall Ward, and I would have expected every ward councillor to be on this mound today. What is illustrated on any particular pamphlet that invites people to York? Two main items, the Minster and the Castle. And that's what people come to see. They come to see the stark reality of the dark and the interesting past of the city. To alter it takes away half that, at least half. People are not going to wander down these streets to see an information centre and pick up a leaflet. The whole thing is an absolute disgrace. The steps that are going to be altered into a lightweight arrangement. Not only a lightweight arrangement of steps, but it's going to be a rail up the side, filled in by a wire mesh. Can you imagine what that's going to look like? I can. A mess. The top of the information centre. At the bottom of it is a gate to stop people going up during the daytime. On the night, it's going to be opened. Now, can you imagine what's going to happen on the night time on top of that? You've got very good imagination, much like myself. It's going to be chaos. And to dig a hole in this mound. Today you see a graphic picture from that side. Not a nice one like you've got on that poster. There's a load of holes that have been dug where the entrance is going to start. Just look at that from the front and you get a totally different picture. Look at it from the side, again you see the input into the mound. It's a disgrace. And I tell you what, there will be more people turned away from coming here than what come now. They don't do this to the prisoner of war camps in Germany, and people flock to see it. They don't tart them up with bits of wood and steps. And I think the council and everybody, English Heritage, ought to look at this again and do away with that lot completely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think I might just say my bit. I went along to the planning meeting on the 27th. I went there because I was actually objecting to another building which was due to be built on Terry Street, the Rooms Apart Hotel. And quite by chance, I read through the agenda to find, to my surprise, that the visitor centre was being discussed at the same meeting. I put my hand up. I missed it. Like many of us here, this went through without our notice. It went under the radar. We didn't see it. But that is not a reason for this to go through. We have to make our voices heard now. It is never too late. It's better late than never. Now, my feelings were, when I first saw this, that it was a joke. I had to look at the top of the newspaper to check it wasn't April the 1st. I saw it and thought there is absolutely no way that English Heritage could ever support this building. And then I read on and discovered it was English Heritage that were proposing building this building. And I was horrified that the guardians of our heritage were the people that were proposing this. And I think we all know quite well what the reasoning behind that was. The reasoning is that the government have given £80 million to English Heritage to invest in visitor centres like this so that money can be made. Its primary function, that visitor centre, is a commercial centre, and I know that the English Heritage will try to tell the story well and will aim to do a good job within the tower. However, this is a commercially led event. But we have on the very doorstep of this beautiful iconic tower, we have a very ugly car park. Why is this not being built on the car park? It seems an obvious choice. And shall I tell you why? Because there is something more precious than ancient buildings in York, and we know what that is. Cars. We seem to have this desire to allow cars to dominate our city. We are in one of the most beautiful parts of a beautiful city. That car park is a monstrosity. This needs to, I think that the point that Clifford's Tower is making for us, it is trying to defend us, as it has in its past, against this type of development. It is trying to defend this city and trying to bring it forward into the future. So the message from the past is clear. Do not build this visitor centre. Do it on the car park, and if somebody says that may take too long, then build a temporary one in the process until the permissions can come through. Now, what can we do? We've been told planning permission has been granted and therefore there is nothing that we can do. I disagree. I think that we can write to the Secretary of State. I urge you to do that. Rachel Maskell has written to the Secretary of State. I have written to the Secretary of State, and I would urge you to do the same. I think that this building is a catastrophe for York. I think it needs to be stopped, and I think we should be willing to go all the way, even to a judicial review if it takes that. I think that English Heritage will look at this protest, will look at the messages coming through and say, perhaps we made the wrong decision. We need to persuade them that maybe they got it wrong and that they can look to a better alternative, a better visitor centre on the car park if that is what is felt necessary. So, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to do everything that you can to make sure this building does not go ahead. Thank you. Can I just say that we've got a brilliant opportunity for a photograph by the press. We've been